Good afternoon. How you doing? This is your coach Renz, and I'm not even going to wait for people to start joining on this live chat. I'm going to go ahead and start. And as you ask questions, I'll try to answer them. But there's a point that I want to get out first. Evidently, there are some people who came into disagreement with me, just a few, who came into disagreement with me as far as me saying that I have no intentions of boycotting Starbucks. Because Starbucks is not the forward edge of the battle area. You see, I was in the Marine Corps, and I love studying tactics. And one of the tactics that you have to learn to understand is what is the forward edge of the battlefield. You see, as Black Americans, we get so emotional so quick that we want to go ahead and just fight every fight, that we want to fight every battle. We think that everything is the home run hit, that we got to get so involved into every fight. But every fight is not meant to be fought. Sometimes we have to use information. We have to go out and we have to learn. We have to study. We have to find out all the facts behind the situation before we start making determinations as to who is our enemy. Now, I know that some of the people who said that they're going to boycott, some of the people who spoke in the comments of my other video, who said that I am missing the grand picture, that I am missing the true enemy, that I am making my oppressors comfortable. I recognize that some of those people are just blatantly racist. Just as blatantly racist. You've been oppressed for so long that you feel like every person is out to get you who doesn't look like you. Well, I will never subscribe to that. I will never subscribe to that. Like I said, I've been in the Marine Corps. And in the Marine Corps, I have brothers who are of all different ethnic backgrounds, who are all different races. And those are my brothers. Those are people who went to combat with me. Those are the ones who went into the fight with me. And do you think I'm going to hold them accountable for what somebody who looks like them do? No, I'm not. I'm not. They were with me in Desert Storm. They were with me in Bosnia. They were with me in Rwanda and Sudan. They were with me. And for some of these people who think that I got to be racist in order to validate myself as a black man, you have the wrong person. And what you're missing is what is the true forward edge of the battlefield. And I want to go through a few statistics, a few things first, before I actually get into what I really want to talk about. And I know some of you guys are going to ask questions, and I'll try my best to get to them, but I got to get through this first part. I have to get through this first part. So I did a little research. Now, Starbucks has come out and they've apologized for what happened. They've come out and they said that we leave it up to each store to determine how they utilize the policy of people being able to come into the facility, use facilities, and how they look at that whole type situation. Now, I know for a fact that there are two different Starbucks that I frequent in my day's journey. I go to one, you have to get a code to use the restroom. I go to the other one, you do not have to get a code to use the restroom. The reason why is the difference in the location. Now, you have to recognize Starbucks is not in any area where they do not think that the people can financially afford their high-priced coffee. But in one location in the city of Atlanta, in Buckhead, in an area that is affluent, there's a lot of homeless people in that area. And so you have to get a key. You have to get a code in order to use the restroom. Why? Because there's another part of town that I used to go in downtown Atlanta where there are many more homeless people. And too often, before you had to get a key code, when anyone can freely go use the restroom, there were homeless people going into Starbucks bathrooms and taking a bath. Taking a bath. So that's why that Starbucks instituted that. The Starbucks at the Lindbergh station instituted something similar because they were having similar problems. But the one that I go to in Druid Hills right now, they don't have that type of situation. So it's not something. Anybody can freely come in. I've watched people come into the Starbucks, use the bathroom, and just leave. And no one said a word. Black people, white people, men, women, Asians, Indian people, everybody walk in and out. No problems whatsoever. Starbucks says that they leave that up to each employee, but they may have to start revisiting that policy so that this type of situation doesn't happen again. I did some further research, and I saw that in 2015, that when all the police shooting was going on, that with Michael Brown and Eric Garner, that Howard Schultz, president of Starbucks, initiated a campaign that had started in one of their stores saying, "We race together," or "race together," that should be put on every cup, because of what he saw as far as the police brutality going on with black men dying. He had no reason to do it. Black people are not the primary customers of Starbucks. So it's not like he had to do it in order to satisfy his customer base. But he did it because he's just a human being who recognizes that people were being treated unfairly. I went in and I dug and I looked to get some facts. And when I went and dug and I got some facts, I saw that the American population for black people is 12.7%. The people of color of America is 39%. When you look at Starbucks in itself, 16% of its executives are people of color. The fifth person in line at Starbucks is a woman of color. When you get to 8 and 9, they're people of color. 11 and 12, people of color. 16% of their executives are of color. 40% of their employees are of color. 40% of their employees are of color. I'm not saying they're doing it intentionally, but I do believe that Starbucks is a company that just looks for how can we grow and become the best company we possibly can and give people that experience when they come in, because it's really the experience and it's the community that they build. That's what Howard Schultz always has spoken about his company. So when I look at Starbucks, I'm not seeing that the company is held accountable for the ignorance of one person. And when I look at the president of that company, I don't see this misogynist person who's trying to be racist. Now, is there some other things he may be doing, some other things I may not agree with? There could be. I don't know the man personally, but I can go by what I see. But I dig deep. I dig to go find information before I make a decision, before I make some emotional decision to boycott a company that's really being punished because of one ignorant person. Now, if they don't fire that person, I might have a problem with Starbucks. If they don't engage in some kind of reparations to those two black men, I may have a problem with Starbucks at that point. At something has to be done. Some apology has to occur. But let's get deeper into the thought process here. I talked about the forward edge of the battle area. That's a military term called F.E.B.A. Now, one of my favorite books of all time is the autobiography of Malcolm X. I learned so much about him by reading the book concerning him. One of the things that he regretted, after he came back from Mecca, he regretted that when a young white woman asked what can she do to help further the cause of the African American, he just looked at her and said nothing. He regretted that. The movie showed that a little bit. But in his memoirs, in his writing, he regretted that wholeheartedly. The fact that he did not recognize at that stage of his life that it takes more than just black people in America to change the situation for black people in America. That the civil rights movement could not have occurred unless you had people of all races and all genders coming together to stand against the government, to stand against those who would say that, no, we must oppress these people of color. If it had not been for everybody coming together, which is why I can never submit myself to those who want me to be straight racist and say that all white people are the oppressors and all white people are evil and every white company is trying to oppress black people. You will never get me to submit to that, because the history, the facts does not show that whatsoever. The facts don't show it. Do we have problems in this country? Sure we do. But having problems in this country is not the forward edge of the battlefield. We cannot be like Martin and Malcolm in their early years, where they fought against one another, where they disagreed with one another about how we need to make changes, and they could not see the big picture and come together early in their careers. No, it wasn't until later in their careers, right before they started to be assassinated, before they recognized that though we have certain differences, we have a common goal. And if you cannot get with me on a common goal, you may disagree with me. If you disagree with me, I'm fine. I'm fine with you disagreeing with me. I don't want you. I do not want you to agree with everything I say. I really don't. I need you to disagree. But we cannot be so disagreeable to one another that we become separate, that we get separated in the overarching goal. Now, the overarching goal is to do a few things. Now, I'm getting a bad connection, so I don't know if you guys can hear me clearly or plainly. Please let me know if things are skipping. But what I do know is this. Let me try something real quick. Okay. This may help the bad connection, I'm not sure. But let me tell you what I do know. What I do know, okay, thank you, good. You can hear me well, you can hear me good? I appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna keep things the way they were. And stop touching stuff. You can hear me fine. That's great. So let me break this down into what I do know, about how we change things, how things get better. Yes, I am a little bit emotional about this. I'm a little bit fired up about it because I've been working on this all day. I've been thinking about this all day. I woke up to this morning, 7 o'clock this morning. I woke up to this thought process, this idea. I woke up to already the knowledge that I already know and putting it out. You know, militarily, we look at the forward edge of the battle area. The reason why we do that is because when you look at a situation like World War II, then when the Allies decided to fight against Germany, they knew that they couldn't go straight into the heart of Germany. They couldn't go straight to Berlin to try to win the war. When America first started fighting the war in the Pacific, they knew they couldn't go straight to Japan to win the war. No, you have to start at the forward edge of the battle area. You have to start at the edge where it began, at the front lines. That's why it's called the front line. You have to start there. And then you fight the front lines and you win the battle and you weaken the enemy while strengthening yourself as you move forward until you get into the heart of your enemy. The enemy of America is not an individual person, but it's a system. It's a system that we have to fight. It's a mentality that we have to fight. And the forward edge of the battle area for the African in America, for all Pan-Africanism, for the diaspora of Africans, is not Starbucks. Starbucks is a wag the dog. If you saw my video I posted earlier today, it's a wag the dog. Meaning that it's a distraction. It's a false flag. It's something to keep you distracted from fighting the real enemy. And let me tell you what that real enemy is. That real enemy, first, is yourself. It's your own personal mentality. The fact that we can have a disagreement, but that disagreement causes you to call me names, to put me on the outskirts, to say that we can't do anything together, to say that I've lost all sight, that unless I'm doing it your way, unless I'm racist in your way, that we can't come to a commonality, that I can't see the galaxies above. If that's your thought process, that division, because we have a different perspective, mentality, then we're already losing the battle because we're divided and easily conquered. We get divided all the time mentally. Look at how we spend our money. We spend our money so quickly on things that's flash, and that's why you running at Starbucks. Because Starbucks is a big target. It's a big splash. It's something that catches your attention. It's something that makes you say, yes, we're going to have some big target, and we might get a big victory. This is why those who want to keep the African-American community in America separated and want to keep you down, the only thing they have to do is control entertainment and sports. Because we're so captivated by entertainment and sports. We're so captivated by those things that are fame. We would rather spend all day knowing and following Beyonce and some sports figure and something that's going on in the NFL and following something that's going on in the world of Hollywood. We'll stay so focused on that and we'll buy all these shoes and we'll buy their purses. H&M, you're still going to shop in H&M. We're so focused to go do that. If you ask a black person who's been making this movie or singing this song, I guarantee they know that. But if you ask them who owns the black businesses in your community, they have no idea. Who are the teachers and principals in your community? You have no idea. Who are the politicians in your community? You have no idea. Because we have been divided and focused on what has splashed. And that's why you're focused on Starbucks. Because if you was fighting the forward edge of the battle area, then what you will be paying attention to is the fact that American Deli is a wing place owned by Asians in your community, selling you wings, taking that money, going back to their side of town in their community and spending your money in their community, building their schools, building their kids, building the businesses in their area, owning the property in their area, and they don't give two rats' asses about you. They see you as a commodity. If you was fighting the forward edge of the battle area, you would see that that's where your fight is first. Stop buying wings from people who don't look like you nor support you. Stop buying hair care products from people who don't look like you and support you. It's a funny thing. When my store was located in this shopping plaza, to my right was a black hair care place. You walk in, they're playing gospel music. Gospel music all day. It's in the black community. Gospel music. But if you look up into the right corner, you see their little statue of Buddha. You look over to the left corner, you see their little jade dragon. They're playing your music because they know they'll sucker you in and make you feel good. You go 2 doors to the left, there was an American Deli. You're lining up, you're ordering. They treat you like crap. They got an 89 on their score, on their health score, but you still run in there. when there's a black company 5 doors down that sell chicken wings that taste better. But you running over here because American Deli is a name that you know. Because they're in your community and you know them. And you're still going to buy from them. But you look up into the corners and what do you see? You see the jaded turtle. You go to any of their businesses and you're going to see their truth. There's a gas station near me right now. You walk in there right now. They're playing your gospel music right now. But if you look behind the counter and you know what you're looking for, you'll see the symbols of Shiva and Shita. Well, not Shiva. You'll see Shiva. You'll see the symbols of Brahma. They're playing your music because they know that captivates you, that emotionalizes you, that you get emotionalized for that. But they're busy worshiping their God, worshiping their way, taking that money because they don't live here. They don't live in this community. No, they live in a different community. They live up the street somewhere. They live over there where their people are, and they're taking their money there, and they're putting their kids through school with your money. They're sending their kids to college with your money. But you still think that the forward edge of the battle area is Starbucks. You still think that the forward edge of the battle area is Donald Trump. That's not the forward edge of the battle area. The forward edge of the battle area is your own community. It's the people who are making millions of dollars every year from your community. They're selling you hair care. They're selling you food. They're selling you cheap clothing. They're selling you all those products. And they're steadily taking it out of your community and not doing a dang thing for your schools that your kids go to. And then while you're so focused on what Kaepernick got going on, you're so focused on the fact that Des White is a free agent. You're so focused on Beyonce playing at Coachella. You're so focused on all that. And you know the names of these people and the names of those people, but you have no idea about the mom and pop shops in your community. You don't go shopping with the mom and pop shops in your community. When you see them, you don't shop with them. You go in there and you look. And then what makes it worse, you expect them to give you better service than the people who just treated you like trash, because I was about to say another word, who just treated you like trash to buy some chicken wings. You look at them with your nose up. They got a 96 health food score. You like, ooh, how'd you lose 4 points? But they got an 89. You don't ask them a dang thing. You just, I know it's an 89, but them chicken wings is good. What the hell, man? What the hell? If I was doing Jeb, I'd be saying, what the hell? What the hell? That is the forward edge of the battle area. That's what you're missing. How many of you show up for PTA? Are you showing up for PTA? Do you know what the school... We're getting ready to go into the summer. Now, my kids are college level and high school level. Thank you, Rolling Thunder. My kids are college level and high school level. My kids, they don't have a reading list anymore, but I give them a reading list. They got their dad's reading list every summer and throughout the year. But every elementary school that my kids have ever been in, they had a reading list over the summer. I make sure my kids, they understand what the library is and they understand how to open a book and how to sit down and read the books. My kids are reading books. Are you paying attention? Does your school have a summer reading list? Do they have a current year reading list? Are you at the PTA meetings? Are you volunteering at the school to help the teacher out? Are you doing that? Because that's the forward edge of the battle area. The minds of your children is at the forward edge of the battle area. The people who are teaching your kids are the forward edge of the battle area. The principals, that's the forward edge of the battle area. The police department. Do you know the police chief in your area? Do you know the police sergeant in your community? Do you know the policemen who patrol your area? Make it a point. Every area I've lived in when my kids were younger, I knew every cop who policed that area. And I made sure they knew me. And they knew that I am my kids' father. And if you see my kids out here doing something they ain't supposed to be doing, don't go running them to jail. You bring them to me. You bring them to me. I'll handle that. I'll handle that. And if we need to get together, we can handle it together. But you bring them to me. I made sure they understood they had a parent who was concerned about their child. How many of y'all know that? Now, I know I grew up that way. That's how it was when I was growing up. My family knew every cop. And we knew everybody else in the community. And if I did something on one side of town, trust me, I might got cursed out and beat down 5 or 6 times before I even got home. I know we're in a different time now. But that's no excuse for you not seeing what the forward edge of the battle area is. We can't take these big shots because we're not in position. We don't have that power. Like I said in my video published earlier today, we are not sitting at the table with these other people of power with food on our plate. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We can get there, but we're not there yet. That's why I started an initiative. See, those who say that I don't see the big picture, That's why I started an initiative for us to move to Botswana. We need to move to Botswana. But because I know everybody's not going to go that far, and because of recent information with Haiti becoming a part of the African Union, oh, we finna have two places. I'm going to initiate people going to Haiti to rebuild, to build, and not build based on if you come over to my religion, then we'll teach you, we'll give you education. Nah, if you just Haitian, period, we want you to get educated. If you're Haitian, period, we want you to be able to have food and water. Not if you agree to my religion like they're doing right now. Go to Haiti. Haiti is another country that's prime for 10,000 African Americans, 10,000 well-oiled machine of Americans to go there and nation build. Botswana is prime for nation building. I'm looking at two countries now. We're going to do two countries. But for those who want to stay here, for those who want to make sure that their generations and generations continue to have a voice, to be able to live in peace, to not get gunned down in the street. Maybe in 100 years you won't get gunned down in the street. Maybe it won't happen. But in order for that to happen, you got to get a seat at the table. And you're not sitting at the dang on table right now because you don't know how to fight. You have no idea how to fight. You think, boy, you were supposed to boycott H&M. They ain't missed a beat. Matter of fact, they did a campaign on diversity and you in there shopping now. Who else were you supposed to boycott? There's so many companies you were supposed to boycott. And here's the thing about boycotting. If you were going to boycott a company because an employee did something stupid, then you wouldn't shop at Walmart. You wouldn't shop at Kroger. You wouldn't shop at Publix. You wouldn't shop at any store that's in any mall. You wouldn't be shopping, period. You wouldn't shop. Because in most black business, you wouldn't shop at them. You would shop nowhere. You would do nothing. Okay? But you don't know how to utilize your power. Recognize this. It was said. This was said to me earlier today. That when Michigan filed bankruptcy, that with the GDP of African Americans, there was enough money to buy the bankruptcy debt of Michigan and therefore own Michigan. And if all the black people moved there, then we would be the 7th largest economy in the world. All right. Now, I know that's theory and I know that not going to happen. Right. But it's just understanding the numbers and the power. African Americans has a tremendous amount of power financially. But as long as we are distracted and as long as we continue to fight amongst ourselves and believe that only my way and my way of thinking is the only way that it possibly could be, then we can never realize that power. And that is a strategy that, and it's not just, see, you may want to put that into white people. That's their strategy. But Sun Tzu in The Art of War talked about that. That you can divide, that if you keep your enemy divided, if you keep the people divided, if you keep, and other books talked about, Pythagoras talked about keeping the peasants divided. You know, Akhenaten, Pharaoh of Egypt, talked about keeping the peasants divided. That if you keep the peasants divided, and in this case, oppressors think of black people as peasants, if you keep them divided, then they will never be able to realize their power. Hell, you saw it in a kid's movie. You remember Bug's Life? Y'all remember Bug's Life? That movie, Bug's Life, was about the grasshoppers realizing that as long as they kept the ants divided and kept them in fear, didn't let them stand up and fight for themselves because of their numbers, they would take over, that the grasshoppers would no longer be able to control them. And it was a beautiful scene when he let one little nut hit the little grasshopper and he was like, oh, that's nothing. But then he let an avalanche hit him and it buried him. The buying power, the technical power, the marketability of the African American in this diaspora is enough power, if organized together in unity. Not that we all have to agree, but if organized together in unity, will put the living fear into the current systematic racism in America. But because we are divided, because our youth walks around, and you know what? Sorry. Not just our youth. Because today, I saw a dude who had to be about 60 years old walking around with his damn pants sagging. But if we understood our value in the marketplace, we understood our power in unity, then what we will be able to do in America is to change systematic racism. Because nobody cares about you unless you show care about yourself first. And we're not recognizing that. The forward edge of the battlefield is not being fought by us. And that's what we have to do. We have to fight it. We have to fight that. We have to realize it. If we realized our power worldwide, if African nations like Nigeria realize that it is in their best interest to join the free trade. If they realize that, instead of looking out for themselves right now, if they realize that they need to be a part of it, and it's not, and get their minds out of the short term and the here and now, and recognize the power that a free trade Africa and a African Union, a true African Union under one government, what that would be in the next 100 years, the world power that Africa as a continent would be, and the world power that right now with Haiti joining the AU, most of the Caribbean islands will follow in the next 20 to 25 years. If you combined the continent of Africa with a powerful unity in America, combine that again with the Caribbean islands being part of the African Union, then you have changed the balance of power in the world. We're talking 50 to 100 years. But Nigeria can't see that right now. It has the largest economy in Africa, but they can't see that right now, because what they see is, will they turn out like Germany and having to take care of everybody in the European Union who can't take care of themselves? But learn from their mistakes. Learn how to nation build some of these other countries who have amazing resources, but just don't have the ability to refine them and the ability to export them properly. If do that. Learn how to be a big brother to the other countries. Not that big brother that punishes the little brother. Not that big brother that takes advantage of the little brother. But that big brother who says that I see the 100-year plan, the 100-year picture. I see where we can be in 100 years as the world power, because we hold all natural resources, and we have brought our brothers and sisters in from the Americas who have learned the ingenuities. We have brought our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean and from Europe who have learned how to do all these, how to create and build. We brought all them in. And now we're all working together. We're creating new sources of energy. We're building an entire car industry. We're refining our own natural resources, and we're exporting them out and supplying the world. We're truly understanding irrigation and farming, and we're feeding the world, and we're controlling the food of the world. Not Monsanto's, but we're controlling the food of the world. That there's a power block in America that says that you won't treat the non-white world a certain way unless we okay how you were going. You're not just going to attack Syria. That's just not going to happen. That's what I'm talking about. We got to get there. And now, for somebody who tells me I don't see the big picture, and I know you're probably not going to look at this video because you've already unsubscribed, but that's okay, because not everybody's going to understand. Not everybody can get there. Some people are meant to fight these battles, these non-winnable battles, because it makes them feel good, because now they're always the oppressed and always feel like somebody's holding them down, instead of being able to look in the mirror and say, what can I do? What can I do to change things? And that's what I ask. And that's what I ask. Now, that's the true forward edge of the battle area. It starts in our mind. Then it's our community, our individual communities. Shopping with business owners in our communities, knowing the teachers, knowing the principals, knowing the police department, being responsible for how your kids are acting, being responsible for how you take care of your community, and supporting those in your community. And forcing the religious leaders to actually do what their book says when it comes to taking care of the community, building the community. That if every church, every mosque, every synagogue, whatever you go to, every temple, just supported the businesses within their church, within their synagogue, within their mosque, that in itself would change the economics in your community. Hell, if you wanted to become a mega preacher, all you got to do is just keep doing that, and then getting those people to hire the people who come into your church, and everybody want to come to your church. They know their business will thrive, or they can get a job. You'll get tons of people coming to your mosque. But you're too concerned about, let me hold you down with this fear of going to hell. Let me hold you down like this. Let me keep my position. Let me not disrupt the government. I want to take my 501. There are ways you can work around that. Churches do it all the time. But you don't realize the power. But the reason why is because the people in there, they don't realize that they have power. That pastor or imam doesn't have the power. You have the power. Because without you, they're nothing. They're absolutely nothing. That's what we got to realize. That's where the fight is. Let me read some of these comments. So I appreciate, well, first of all, I appreciate you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys for letting me get that off my chest. You guys are awesome as always, and I really appreciate you. And Rolling Thunder, I appreciate the donation because that helps. That helps because it allows me more time to be able to do these sorts of things. Yep, divide and control. That's exactly it. That's how it works. Smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from other people's mistakes. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely. I try to teach my kids that all the time. Learn from my mistake. Be wise. Now, you can be smart and make a mistake and then learn from it. Or you can be dumb and keep making the same mistakes over and over again. It's up to you. Then you wonder why community goes down. Exactly. Support mom and pop shops. We definitely need to support our mom and pop shops. And gather our, exactly, Vicky, gather our facts. Gather our facts. Okay, people think, okay, great. Hey, everybody, how y'all doing? But gather our facts. You know, we got to, I keep talking about and stressing. Thank you, Felicia. I appreciate that. I really do. I keep talking about how we got to understand this trivium. It doesn't matter that the trivium is a Latin term, that it comes from the Romans, but it's a way of thinking, a way of critical thinking that's been around long before the Romans. It was just popularized by the Romans. That's all, the term, right? Because we live in a world that's been controlled by Western history. But we got to gather all the facts before we start doing stuff, before we move forward into something. And after we gather the facts, then we figure out, we connect those. How do those facts match up? What are those facts telling me? And based on what it's telling me, how do we move forward? How do we come to a better positioning for ourselves so that we make sure that we're not making these mistakes, that these huge mistakes? Dr. King, before he passed away, started thinking that integration was probably the worst thing that could have happened to black people during that time frame, that we would lose ourselves and lose our identity. We would lose our community. And that became his nightmare. It became a true reality. We lost all of that. And another thing that we lost by his assassination is the fact that leaders wouldn't step up anymore. All of a sudden, we got so-called African-American leaders who are concerned about the pay of baseball players. I'm sorry. You got people in communities who are not able to make ends meet, who are getting evicted, and you care about some doggone baseball player? Man, give me a break. DJ says, keep banging. We trying to live what you're preaching. My lady had a business that we both sacrificed to develop, and I'm developing skills that can help build a nation. These are good times. And thank you. Exactly. And I'm going to harp on this. At first, like I said, I was solely focused on Botswana. I think Botswana, I'm going back to Botswana. You know, Botswana's cool. Haiti is cool. Don't get me wrong. There's a part of me that does want to go with the group that will go to Haiti, right? There's a part of me that does, because I'm so pissed at the fact that religious leaders in Haiti have used food and education and the ability to become a marketable person so that you can feed your family. They've used, if you want that, then and healthcare. If you want that, you got to come and convert over to our religion. Even though it is Christian, I wouldn't care if it was Muslim or if it was any religion. You shouldn't force people to convert to your religion based on a bribe. So part of me definitely wants to go physically to Haiti, but for the people who do go to Haiti to nation build, I am going to be very instrumental in what they do in Haiti. Now, for me, it's Botswana. I want to go to Botswana. I want to go back to Africa. All right, that's where I want to go. All right, and that's where I want to live. And then also I see the hub of energy and the hub of power coming from there. The ability to build a country that then becomes influential with all the rest of the African Union countries, to bring it all together under one umbrella so that sub-Saharan Africa becomes a world power. And then it might come to just agreement, or it might come to a war to bring all of Africa under one umbrella. I do believe that there's a strong possibility that if infiltration and espionage can't stop the African Union from becoming one nation, that it could come to a point of war, right? And we see that European powers have no problems and American powers have no problem, because Syria has the potential of becoming a battleground where the Chinese and Russians are fighting the Americans and Brits in Syria. But although soldiers from each will die and fight, look at what happens to the people who live there. The children, the women, the old people who live there. They will be the ones to suffer the most. And when it's all said and done, it won't be a free Syrian country. It will be a country either ruled by America and England or a country ruled by Russia and China. So everything that I will do will be in preparation to make sure that African Union becomes very strong militarily and becomes very strong economically and politically. And I'm not saying that I'm the one that's going to make all the big changes. It's a generation after me that may be the ones who make the bigger changes. But you got to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere, right? My life would not be, I can't say that my life will be fulfilled if I don't. And I can't be like these people who are just sitting by and doing nothing, who just want to complain and complain, but yet do nothing. So I'm looking to build some more skills myself. There are other skills that I'm looking at building right now that's going to be beneficial there. There are skills, whatever skills you have right now, DJ, whatever skills you and your wife have, awesome. Use those skills. But remember, on another video, I talked about the fact that it doesn't, thank you, Felicia. I think I said that earlier. It doesn't matter the level of your skill set. To nation build, it takes more than just the doctor, right? You need the person from the doctor all the way to the janitor in order to make it work, right? You need the person who's going to go to Botswana and say, I'm going to institute a volleyball league. I'm going to institute baseball. I'm going to institute or increase their basketball. You know, it takes all of those too. It takes people go there to say that I'm going to open up a chicken wing shop, you know, in Botswana or in Haiti. It takes all of that working together, as well as the engineers who can do road infrastructure. If you look at Botswana, the majority of Botswana is dirt roads, right? The irrigation system in Botswana is getting better, but it has a long way to go. We have to be able to bring people out. Too many people in Botswana have livestock, and it's overgrazing the land and not giving it an opportunity to refertilize. We got to pull people from that, industrialize them, so that the land can heal itself. They have to learn how to let the land heal so it can be irrigated properly for farming. So there are people, and it takes just as much as it takes the person with the designs, it takes the person with the shovel, right? It takes everybody on every level. So yes, let's develop skills, but also all you have to have is a desire to want change, to want something different, to want something different for your kids or your grandkids. See, what I'm doing, I have no grandkids right now, but I know that, well, I better not have none for the next 5 to 10 years, or y'all gonna see a different side of Coach Rand. But I know that in my thinking, what's the lifestyle? Where is my grandkids gonna pick this up? What are they gonna have to pick up? What next level are they taking it to? And my great grandkids, what next level can they take it to? You know, so I'm thinking generationally, and that's how we have to think about this. Even for those who want to stay in America, you have to think generationally. Okay, 45 is in office right now. I know this is horrible. I know you guys are not going to agree, but the way the climate is right now, I believe 45 probably will win in 2020. I believe 45 will win in 2020. I don't think enough people are going to come out and vote against him, but I think enough people who like him are going to come out even bigger to vote for him, right? So I think 45 is going to win in 2020. But let's say if he did win in 2020, then that means that you got 6 more years. But after 6 years, he's gone. But in a 6-year time frame, in the next 6 years, if you want to boycott all the businesses in your community that don't serve your community, boycott the chicken wing place, boycott the black the hair care place, boycott all of those. In the next 6 years, you run them out of business. They'd be gone. And it's not hard to boycott them because here's the thing. Most things you can get online. Ladies, you can go online and you can order all the hair care you need. You just have to be forward thinking and plan for it. There's a meat market that's ran by a black man that's 45 minutes away from where I live. All I have to do is plan for it. There's black grocery stores I can go to. All I got to do is plan for it. All you have to do is plan for it. You plan for it. You buy enough so that you don't have to come every week. You buy enough so that you can come. You go once a month. It's not that big a deal. You make it too hard. We make it too hard for ourselves in our brain. But if in the next 6 years you made a concerted effort in your community, if your community made a concerted effort to shop with good black businesses, because I'm going to hold them to the fire too, you need to provide great customer service and a great product and a great service. If you commit to supporting those businesses in your community for the next 6 years, the dynamics of your community will change. It won't matter what 45 does. 45, Congress, Senate, it won't matter what they do. If you only shop with business that support your community, and then as people open up businesses in your community, and they are the people who live in your community, if they open up and you support them, the fabric of your community will change in 6 years. If you start showing up to the PTA meeting to the point where it's standing room only, you start showing up to help teachers to the point where the teachers are like, look, I'm gonna have to put y'all on a list, and you're only gonna be able to come like once every 3-4 months because I got too many parents who want to volunteer. If you did that, if you're having meetings where you're telling the sergeant of the police department or the police chief that you are requesting them to come to your meeting to give you an update on crime that's going on in your area and what you can do to help and what they need to do and you telling them what they need to do to make difference. If you're doing that for the next 6 years while 45 is still in office, it won't matter what 45 does. Your community changes. The dynamics of your community is different. I can guarantee you that that's what happened. Because when I live in Atlanta area. If I go up to Gwinnett area, where it's a huge population of Asians, and I see how they have those meetings. I see how they're in the schools. I see how they own the businesses. I mean, they own the business to the point where you go up there and the names on the business. This is foreign to Atlanta. We didn't have this when I was growing up, but the names on the business are written in Korean or Vietnamese. Some of it is written in Asian, where there's written in English, and it's not for Americans. It's because the Vietnamese and the Korean, they don't read each other's language, but they read English. So that's why they put it in English. You go to Buford Highway area, it's all in Spanish. But they meet with the police officers. They meet with the schools. They're in the schools. You go to East Atlanta Village, they have a meeting because I was getting ready to open up a business in East Atlanta. And I went to 6 meetings. And the police have to send somebody at every meeting to give them an update on what they've been doing to make the policing better in that area. They're regentrifying that area. They have to tell them what they've been doing. The politicians have to show up, and the politicians are being held accountable. And the business owners and the homeowners are being held accountable at this meeting every doggone month. And this is during Obama, and this is during 45, and they are not suffering. They are not going through the same things that the black community is going through, because they are saying it doesn't matter who's in office. We're going to handle our business right now. That's why some of y'all know the conspiracy people will get on here. It doesn't matter who's the president, because there's the 13 families, there's the Illuminati, there's this and that and the third who's controlling everything. And in that respect, I'm going to agree with them. If you are holding down the power in your community, it won't matter who else is doing whatever. It won't matter who's the president. It won't matter. That starts to matter when you get into bigger things beyond your community. That starts to matter when you start talking about, when you get to the level where taxation is starting to matter in your community. It starts to matter where road construction is starting to matter in your community. It starts to matter when all of those kind of things start happening. When all of a sudden the people in your community are the ones who are designing projects, the ones there was a black gentleman that I knew in Tampa. His company built some system for the Mars rover. It mattered to him at that level. Right? So when you got to get to a position on a table where you start caring about who's in office, when they want to change the tax code, that's when that's when it matters. But you got to have something. You got to come to the table with some power in order for that to happen. Mindfree said, I don't vote. What is your opinion on people who don't vote? I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. Obama's election was the last time that I voted. His first election was the last time I voted for a president, because it doesn't matter who the president is, because they're not controlling anything anyway, and it doesn't affect my life. But I do vote in the local elections most of the time. Yeah, 2018. I do vote in the local elections. 2008. Thank you, Star Child. 2000. The local elections, I'll vote for them. I'll vote in some of those. If a person doesn't vote, I don't hold anything against them. I'm not one of those people who say that, oh, you didn't vote, so you can't say anything. That's a BS line. That's a BS line. Because I can point to tons of people who don't vote, but they're in there, they're the PTA president, right? And they're making sure that those kids get the books that they need. They're making sure that they still have music and art classes. They're making sure that the parents are informed. They're holding the principal accountable. I see those people, they don't vote because these are customers of mine. So I know them. They don't vote, but they handling business in the community. So I'm not holding them to say that, well, you can't say anything about the police chief. Yes, they can, because they're holding the police accountable. They're holding the principals accountable, for what's going on in their community. They're out there with the kids doing mentoring programs. So if you don't vote, I'm not holding you down because of that. I'm not going to say that that you can't say anything. You can say everything in the world. Now, if you don't vote and you don't do anything, I'm going to be more pissed at the fact that you don't do anything. You don't do anything. People who don't vote, our voting process in America is broken. So I don't even care. Mindfree says, yeah, I'm just trying to make a change in what I can do for size control. Exactly. What can you do and what you can control? You got to look at it and say, okay, where am I? What table am I sitting at right now? And based on the table I'm sitting at and the food that I have in front of me, this is the change that I can affect. This is my ability of things that I can do. If you can't even sit at the table, hell, some people can't even walk in the door, can't even come into the room, can't even come into the yard. Some people got 50 feet away from the house. But when you recognize, you have to start at where your power is. That's your forward edge of the battle area, wherever you are. All right? Wherever you are, that's where you start. And that's where you start to make change. Hell, the first thing we need to do is start building our own personal finances. Build our own personal finances. Most of the people, I guarantee, I'm not going to ask, but I guarantee that there's a good number of people on here who have bad credit. I ain't even saying fair credit. If you got fair credit, I'll let you slide. But I guarantee that most people who have listened to me or who listen to me, period, have bad credit. Credit is power now. Credit is power. You can't do much of nothing without credit. You want to buy, your credit needs to be at least 580 to buy a house in most situations. You want an FHA house with 3 and you'll have to pay 3.5% down. You need a credit score of 580. I guarantee you that most people in earshot of this who will listen to this later do not have a 580 credit score. They don't. And here's the thing about it. 580 is not hard to get to. You can get there. I've been giving advice on how to get there. A good 609 letter would knock off 80%, if not everything on your credit that's bad, depending upon what it is. But then being able to just save 10% of what you make. Save 10% of what you make. Utilize that to get yourself out of debt. Save 20%, get yourself out of debt faster. Get you something that you can sell or some service you can provide after your 9 to 5. That'll get you out of debt even faster. Then you started using great finances, great financial knowledge. That'll get you there even faster. Once you're in that position, now you're starting to get a seat at the table. Once you become a homeowner, you own some property, you got a seat at the table. Once you own a business, you're starting to get a seat at a table. And as you get that seat and you start climbing and building it, you start to get a seat. Now you're starting to have more power. Now people are listening to you. Now you can affect change in a community. You see, I got to, hold on, let me answer this question. I'm going to tell you what I'm about to say. Buy a 2-flat before you buy a house. 2-flat. Oh, so like a duplex. In the South, we call that a duplex. True. Buy a duplex. Rent one side, live in the other side. Make that money off that person. Then buy you another duplex. Rent both of them. Now both of them are paying for that, plus you're making a profit. Buy you another one. Now you got 3 of them. Everybody's paying rent. Now you can probably use the profit from those to go buy you a house that you can live in on your own, and the profit from those pay for your house, and they're paying for all these, and you're making a profit because now the one you was living in you can rent. Then you go buy you some tax liens. Sit on that tax lien for a year. Once the people leave, you can either flip that house or you can turn that into a rental property. Buy you 5, 6, 7, 8 tax liens. After 10 years, you might have 50 properties. You may have 100 properties. Now, if you step up to the Chamber of Commerce, you got power. Now, when you go to the city council meetings, you got power. But beforehand, you had nothing. But now you got some power. You understand what I'm saying? Now you can talk. Now people have to listen to you in that community. And the more you buy, the more you own, the more money you control, the more power you have. And as you build your company, you start to employ people, now you have even more power because now they got to be concerned about jobs and unemployment because now you're employing 500 people in your city, right? So now you got some more power. Now they got to listen to you in your city. And as you get bigger, more people got to listen to you now. That's how we build it. That's how we build it. I was going to say something about something, but I forgot what I was going to say. I know I was talking about saving 10% and then 20% to get out of debt. And then you got to put some money into some kind of vehicle that's going to make money for you, whether it's property, whether it's a business, whether it's some kind of. I'm not really big on stocks and bonds; those are too slow unless you're starting out with 100K and you really are focused on day trading and know how to trade. It's not going to work. 401ks are horrible. I would never put a dime into a 401k. 401k is probably the worst investment in creation. Basically, there's a common saying in the financial circles that if it begins with a four, then it's for the government. You get a 401k, by the time you can actually utilize it, they killed you on taxes. They're killing you on taxes. It's not really keeping up with inflation. If your company is not matching, then you're never going to keep up with inflation, and you'll find yourself at a loss. Most people, and you have to look at now. There's a way a 401k can work for you. Let's say you're 20 years old, and by the time you turn 27, you buy a house, and you live in that house forever. That's the house you're going to live in and die in, right? So that by the time you're 57, the house is paid for. And the only thing you got to pay on that house now is upkeep and taxes. And let's say you've been putting $200 a month into your 401k, and maybe you have about in a 401k, because the interest rate is so freaking low, you might have about $500,000 maybe in that 401k at that point. Now you don't have the only thing you may have to deal with is a car note, but you need to be very specific about that. And your car needs to last you about 12 to 15 years so that you're not maintaining a car note, you're just taking care of it. Then you can live off your 401k. Then you can live there. But if not, if you've been putting money in 401k, you got $500,000, but then you retire at 60 and you still got a house note for the next 10, 15 years, you will pull so much money from that 401k consistently and constantly that by the time you hit 70 or by the time you hit 80, then you will probably only have like 100k left in that thing. And now people are living longer. By the time you hit 90 to 100, hell, you living off your kids, and Social Security ain't really giving you nothing if you're even getting it at all. So I would never do a 401k. I've never put money into a 401k. That's a huge waste of money, because you need something that's going to keep up with. You need something that's going to keep up. I think you're saying sucks that when you pull it out, it's dead money. Yeah, it is. It's dead money. It has no. I would never do a 401k. 401k is like the worst investment. It's one of, they ain't gonna say it's the worst, but it's a horrible investment. It's an investment that was created just to make you think that you're doing something to take care of your future. You have a better shot at saving 10% of what you make every year. And let's just say you make 50. The average household income and across America is $54,000. So let's say you take every year you save $5,400. You have a better shot taking that $5,400 every year, finding somebody who owns a good chicken wing place in your neighborhood, and saying that, hey, if I give you this $5,400, can I get 5% of your company? And then next year you take that $5,400 and you find another company and say, can I get 5%? Maybe it's a t-shirt guy or some kind of boutique, but you studied the person, you studied their business, you know that they got good financial management, they're not jacking things up, and they have a desire to grow. Popcorn shop, exactly. I mean, yeah. But if you can acquire, and let's say you did that for 10 years in a row, you don't need all 10 of them to blow up. All you need is about 3 of them. If 3 of them over the next 20 years go from 1 shop to 10 shops, and those 10 shops are producing $5 million in profit, and they pay out, and let's say they are paying out $1 million a year in profit to the shareholders, and you're getting 5% of that million, which is what, I think $50,000. If you're getting $50,000 a year from 3 different companies, that's $150,000 a year. You don't have to worry about your retirement. You took care of that those 10 years that you kept finding small businesses that were looking to grow, but they just need a little working capital. They need a little working capital to handle something, to move into, to hit the next level. And you were able to get with them. 7 of them failed. 7 of them, you may have made your money back. You may have never made your money back. lost that money. But these three went off like gangbusters. That blew you up. And that's all you need. That is all you need to happen, is to handle that. Handle that. But most people can't see that because they're thinking, man, I saved my $5,400, or I take my taxes every year and I got $5,000-$6,000 for my taxes, but I gotta pay my bills. First, you gotta stop living above your means. Break your finances down to where your household only needs 70% of your income, right? Then you can save that 10% every year. You can save that 10% and you can invest it. You can invest it, right? So there was a guy I knew. When was this? This was probably like 2000, year 2000. One year he got fed up with America. Fed up. So he saved like 30% of his income. And then he took that and he went to Zimbabwe. And he bought him a diamond mine. And he mined diamonds for 5 years. And after 5 years of mining diamonds in in Zimbabwe, he came back to Atlanta. He got him a little race car team. He bought him a couple of garages that he owns. And he bought a ton load of real estate and owned, at the time when I met him in 2003, 2003, 2004, he owned like 40 houses that he was renting. So he saved for a year, went to Zimbabwe, grinded it out for 5 years, and then came back to America and set himself up. And this dude has never had to work another job since. That's the kind of foresight we have to have. You have to develop that kind of foresight. You have to develop that long-term goal. I'm 46. Now, what I plan to do with my company, my popcorn shop, since it was mentioned, what I plan to do with that, wait a minute, let me read this. How do you get someone to get in that mindset? I try to share some info like this, but some people just won't grasp it. They won't. And this is going to sound so mean. They won't grasp it, but you can't care about that. I know that sounds mean. I know you're supposed to care about everybody. I know you're supposed to care about people, but some people just won't. You know, the Zen masters say that the teacher can open the door, but the student must still walk in, right? Same saying as you lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I can sit here and I can pontificate this all day long. And I can ask for 10,000 people to go to Haiti and 10,000 people to go to Botswana. Maybe 3,000 go to each one. Not everybody's going to be able to hear it. Not everybody can grow with you like that. But for those who can't grow, you just got to go on. Because let me tell you something about leadership. Let me see if I can do this on here so you guys can see it. All right. This is the thing about human behavior, about people. All right. Like I say, you can't worry about the masses. You just need to try to find people who are ready to build with you. Exactly. I know you guys, do you see this chart here? All right. This is a thing in business. All right. So, and these numbers may not be exactly correct, so don't get mad at me about it. About how it comes out. I'm just going to go ahead and write all the numbers in here, right? Now, I forgot what this is called. I think it's called the law of central diffusion or something like that. But when you combine this with how leadership works and how people move, minds are, you'll understand it better. All right. So you see that. This 3% represents this represents initiators, right? So what you're trying to teach people, only 3% of the people are immediately ready to understand it and move with you. Now in leadership, this is the 3% of the people who are ready to follow you. These are the 3% who will see your vision just as you see your vision, and they're ready to move right now. So I know that I'm asking for 10,000 people because I recognize that the millions and millions of people, African Americans, are not ready to go anywhere. So I'm looking for that 3%, right? And I'm looking for a whole hell of a lot less than 3%. Now, what you have next is the 13%. That 13% represents early adapters. It is not you who moves this 13%. This 13% came to you because they were moved by the 3%. They saw the 3% go with you and they were excited and they saw that, okay, it's still a little risky, but I'll run with them. Then you have this 15%. This 15% is your tipping point. After you go over 15%, all these early adapters now are ready to join in with you. Now, these 34% here are the late adapters, and this 16%, they will never, ever, ever, ever. The only reason this 16% even use a cell phone is because they can't use a rotary phone. All right? So they're never going to move. In leadership and in trying to teach people, you can teach, and you got those ones who are with you from the beginning. They'll help you motivate the 13%, but your movement takes off once you go beyond 15%. And then these 34%, they come along once they feel like it's safe. It's safe to do it. I know I'm still early. I'm ready to do it. This other 34%, they like, hell, everybody else doing it, and I feel awkward and odd not doing it. And this 16% will never join you. So when it comes down to people saying that they're not listening, you try to teach them about finances, you try to teach them about moving forward in life, about nation building, and they just can't hear it, then you just have to keep moving and recognize they're not part of your 3% right now. They may be part of the 34, they may be part of the second 34. But you just got to move and find that 3% and just work with them. Just work with the 3%. And don't let your emotions get caught up in their unwillingness to go with you. Like I said at the beginning of this, 3 people had decided that they were going to unsubscribe from my channel because they disagreed with how I thought about this whole Starbucks situation. Their comments didn't make me feel bad. It gave me the thought process to do what I'm doing right now to make this live chat. But within 3 hours of them leaving, 20 more people joined. They subscribed to me. So I'm not worried about them. I'm not going to worry about them. When I first started my popcorn shop, when I was a personal trainer, most of my people came to me through recommendations. So they were warm leads. They already wanted me. I had no problems. But when I started my popcorn shop, there's a few people, amazingly enough, a few people who don't like my product. I got the best popcorn in the city. And there's a few people who don't like it. And at first it bothered me. It bothered me. But then I started realizing, why am I so concerned about 5 people when I got 5,000 people who love my product? I was off balance. So I just worry about the 5,000. So just worry about those who are ready to follow you and go with you. Don't worry about the rest of them. Like you said, you can't worry about the messages. I saw that one. Good, you're right, Star Child. And don't forget to go back and touch on where you're going to say about your popcorn. So like, only thing I was going to say there, because I was talking about finding that business that the person is looking to grow it into something. I've never been the kind to think that I would build a small mom and pop business and that's all it'll ever be. In my brain, if I'm not building a company that's going to be worldwide and dominate, and to the point where I own my own farms to produce my own popcorn and it's a household name and that sort of thing, then it's not worth me doing it. This is why I'm so interested in nation building, because I find so much value in that, because I like big stuff. Sorry. I like doing things that has huge impact. So for the people who actually who get with me, and I'll admit, I went through some rough times in these first 6 years of this business, because I was going from service businesses to a food product business, totally different marketing, totally different location, understanding of locations. I mean, there was so many things that was different. And I will freely admit that I was married to a person who did not support me in what I wanted to do, who even when things were going great, kept trying to push me back into IT. And because I emotionalized their feelings and trying to make them happy and trying to make sure the marriage worked, I made some dumbass decisions. Plain and simple, I made some dumbass decisions, right? So because of that, I found myself, I took like 10 steps back, right? So after I took I took 10 steps back, but now I've made, a bunch of steps forward. So going forward, the persons who and now I'm different. I don't allow everybody. I've had investors come to me and say that they want to get down with me on what I'm doing. And most of them I've told no. I have no interest in doing business with you because their vision doesn't match my vision. And they want to make such drastic changes that I'm like, no, I've been in this long enough to know that what you're trying to do doesn't work. And I've actually seen people do what you're trying to do, but that doesn't work. So I'm not doing it. And that causes a split. But I'm mature enough now in it to be able to say, no, I'm not doing it with you. But my point is, to find a person whose mindset is like mine, where they're saying that this company has no end result other than to be a worldwide company. That the store I'm opening now is there purely to feed the next store. And there are things I'm doing with my finances now that I'll feed the next store before that store is even in a position to create a new store. And then from those stores, it's purely there to feed and create other stores. Everything will be there to move into. Now, some profit will be paid out, yes. But the majority of profit is going into building more stores and becoming such a dominant name that as much as you see Starbucks, you're going to see my stores. Over the next 20 years, you will see my stores all over the place, and you'll be like, man, I remember when he was just some dude talking his little dream of grandeur on YouTube. Man, he was right. That's what it's going to be. And it only can be that way. I have no doubt in my mind. That's the other part. I have no doubt in my mind that it'll be anything other than that. So that's all I was going to say about that. Find a person like that. You know, you need 3 successes out of your 10 tries. One of your 3 has to be somebody with that type of mentality. And the thing about it is that I'm a big picture guy. I'm horrible at details. Horrible with the details when it comes to running a business. I ain't gonna say I'm horrible, but I'm not that great. When it comes to the big picture of how to run it and what to do and how to set it up and how to communicate it and how to deal with people and creating the experience and all, awesome, I got you. But when it comes to the day-to-day operation, that's not me. But can I afford to pay somebody right now to handle the day-to-day operations at a corporate level? I'm not. But I know as soon as I can, I need to. So you may be a number 2 or a number 3 person that can come into a business and do that and make it happen, right? And now the 2 of you combined, the 3 of you combined, the 4 of you combined can build something that becomes as big as Starbucks. That becomes, because you know Starbucks, they hit $1 billion in profit, right? And they were only in, they didn't even, I think it was in June that they hit $1 billion in profit. I mean, you got to be able to do that. So you find that. That's all I was going to say about it. Find a person like that, and that'll be one of your successes. Question: is it possible to set up dual citizenship in order to live in Africa and America? If we are to nation build as a people, how do we get around the U.S. from holding us back in order to do so? Okay, I don't know yet if you can do dual citizenship with. See, like my daughter, she was born in Germany, right? So since she was born in Germany, and me and her mom are Americans, she has dual citizenship, and Germany and America allows dual citizenship. I'm not sure if we have to find out if that country allows dual citizenship. Most countries are starting to allow that, so it won't be a problem. I am planning a trip to DC this summer to go, and specifically, even though I have a cousin there and I want to see my cousin, and my niece is up there, and I haven't met her husband yet, but I have a desire. I'm going to go up there to go to the Botswana embassy to start relations. But I definitely will find that information out either before I go or now. But that's actually something I should find out right now. So I'll find that out real soon. And here's the thing about it. America can't hold you back. They can't hold you back. If we start, if right now, Botswana doesn't have it where I have to have somebody who's from Botswana to open up a business there. So I can just go. If you got a passport, you can just go. And if you already got everything, you know how to set everything up, you can just go and start setting up. Like, I got some people who are investigating how to become real estate agents in Botswana and what they have to do, because it's not the same as in America. You actually got to go through a college program in order to be a real estate agent, or you got to have at least 5 years experience of a real estate agent here in America or some other country before you can go over there to get your bond to be a real estate agent. Because we're going to need some real estate agents already there who can get people into places to stay, whether it's renting or owning. So I got people who are working on their real estate license to get it now, or who are working on it through education, or who are working on it because they have the experience and they just got to get some more years of experience before they can become real estate agents over there. So America can't stop you from doing that. Only way they can stop you if you are in. Now there's a few people. Talk to them. They owe more than $5,000 on back child support. That person, those people, they got to get it down below $5,000 so they can get the passport and they can go. Other people have felons. They have a whole nother process, and we have to get a lawyer for them in order to get those felons suppressed or expunged so that they can go. All right. but they're going to have a longer process, and they just have to be patient and willing to do the work and submit all the paperwork, right? And one of the ways is once we get people over there, if you have a job that's being offered to a person, let's say you're a truck driver, you have a felon, because a lot of truck drivers have felons. You're a truck driver, you got a felon. I'm not saying all my truck drivers out there got felons, but if you're a truck driver, you got a felon, and I get over there and I open up a transportation company. I want to hire this guy to come over there. I'm going to support all the visa paperwork for that person. We got to go through a bunch of stuff to get that person to come over, for the America to release them and give them a passport. That's the legal way. If you have a felon, there's some other ways to get there. But I don't know. I don't know those ways. I don't know how. I'm just saying. But they can't stop us. They can't. That's the thing about it. They can't stop us. They can't stop us from going to Haiti either. Not only the people in Botswana can stop us. What kind of service business? Well, okay, so I used to own a gym. I used to own 2 gyms and 2 personal training studios in Atlanta, in the Atlanta, metro Atlanta area. And then I became an IT guy. And I was bored out of my mind. I couldn't stand that job. And so you fully understand what I was saying exactly, you know. So I used to be an IT guy. I became an IT guy because I used to have a kiosk, and used to have 3 kiosks in a mall, and family situations. I moved back down to Florida. There was no place for me to open up a kiosk. So I started running out of money, found out that my wife at the time was pregnant with my son, and she was working at MetLife, and I was like, oh my gosh, because she had the other 2 girls premature at 7 months. I was like, oh my gosh, I got 5 months to get something going. Couldn't get a job in accounting, couldn't get a job doing anything I did in the military. And I had been an entrepreneur for like 2.5 years, so I didn't have any current work experience. I went to school. I went to a fast track IT program, got my IT degree in 2 years, but in 6 months I became certified as Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer. Got my MCT, but even before that, when I got my A plus, Net plus, got my Security plus, within the first 2 months, I was able to start getting a job and start working. But I became an IT guy, eventually became an IT instructor, but I hated it. I couldn't stand it. I hated working in IT. IT is boring to me. You don't get to deal with people, you know. And even when I was teaching was okay, but I didn't really like it. So I did open up an IT consulting firm. All of that is to say that I opened up an IT consulting firm for a while, but I didn't like it. So I couldn't put my heart into it, couldn't put my mind into it. And here's the thing about me. I love business, period. I just love business. I can do a business that I'm really not interested in, right? But I just couldn't get down with IT at all. But the gyms were fun because I got to change people's lives and change the way they interacted with themselves, because I worked from the life coaching perspective of personal training. Personal training was just the manifestation of you understanding how to control your mind, your thoughts, your lifestyle, how you relate to your environment, relate to food, relate to your husband, your wife, your kids. So personal training, the way I did it from a life coaching perspective, which is why I always told people I am one of the top selling personal trainers in Atlanta. When I was doing that, I was saying I'm a top selling personal trainer, because most personal trainers in Atlanta make about $30,000 to $40,000 a year. I was making $160,000 a year when I was just doing personal training. This is before I opened up the gyms, because my clients were successful because I fixed their lives first, and then I used their health to fix their life. So I became one of the top selling, because there were other trainers who knew more than I did as far as the body is concerned, but I just understood the mind and behavior better, and that's why I was more successful. And from that, I opened up a gym, and then I opened up another gym, then I opened up 2 personal training studios, and then I saw that gyms were going to get hurt during that crunch in 2008, 2010, during that recession. And so there was this guy who wanted to buy my facilities. Well, 3 of my facilities, I sold those to him, and I sold one of them to one of my employees, and I got out of that industry. Then I just started doing business coaching and life coaching for a couple of years. But then I wanted something brick and mortar as well, and there's some other personal reasons why I started doing that too, which I should have never stopped for those personal reasons. Like, I'm very transparent. I don't really care. Basically, most of my clients were women, and the woman that I was married to didn't like the fact that most of my clients were women, even though she knew and knows that I have a very strict policy about messing around with anybody, period. But messing around with people that are paying me, hell no. I don't believe in messing up my money. I actually had this one fool I was trying to hire, and I was like, "What do you think about sleeping with your?" Yeah, been through it all. Yeah, I have. But I had this one fool. I was like trying to hire him. I said, "What do you think about sleeping with your clients?" Well, when I was in Texas, I slept with all my clients. I slept with one of them. Everybody found out. I lost my business, lost my family, and then that fool said, "But now I'm single." I was like, "Man, you at least could have lied to me and be like, no, that's wrong." So I stopped doing life coaching and business coaching for a couple of years. I opened up the gourmet popcorn shop, and then I started life coaching, business coaching again last year. So those are my service businesses. Those were the service businesses that I did. But food is totally different. When I had my kiosk in the mall, I did sunglasses, watches, and candles. Those are easy. They're products. You smell the candle, you like the way it's designed, you buy it. I use like different um, holidays and rituals and religions to sell the candles and all that kind of stuff, as well as smells and romantic events and all that to sell the candles. As far as the watches, I promoted those. There was mostly men watches. I was promoting that men, you got to look good. It's part of your ensemble as an accessory. And the sunglasses, the sunglasses kind of sold themselves. I really didn't have to push any kind of imagery to sell the sunglasses. So that just kind of sold itself. But man, food? Dude, I don't know if everybody's a guy. I'm just saying, dude. Food, totally different. That was a totally different animal for me. Taste buds and flavors. And I'm on like my ninth version of my caramel recipe. Food is like totally different. And then the health department stuff, because I can't, once I took the Safe Serve class, and now when I read the thing about what your score is, if I see a 89, I know you got contamination issues. That's why you got an 89. You either got bugs or you got contamination issues. If you got something below, if you're below 90, you got contamination. Hell, if you 90, you might have contamination. You got to know where to look. So that was throwing me off. And then you got your employees like, hey, wash your hands. Oh, you touched that, wash your hands. I'm wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. And everything's on timers, and I'm making this product, and you got to time it this way and time it that way, and it's just a lot, so many details. And hold on for a minute. I gotta ask a question. Where you going? Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey guys, look. My latest daughter is off work, and I'm over, and so we're gonna go pick her up from work because she's 16, got her first little job and everything. So she learned some stuff, but for some reason she getting off early today. I don't know, maybe because it was raining. She works at Six Flags. I'm telling y'all too much of her business right now. But I appreciate you guys, because even though she can go pick her up herself, I like spending time, quality time. And I know that I might be on with Kevin tonight, so that'll be another 2.5 hours that I'm taking away from our communing with each other. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I appreciate you guys for being here and for letting me rant, but I love answering questions. I guarantee you guys this. Oh, thank you. Appreciate Star Child. I'll tell you guys that. Oh, thank you, Mind Free. I appreciate that. But I am, I'm going to get on Kevin's feed, whether he like it or not. I'm going to call in. But I'm going to start doing a lot more live myself. Most of it might be impromptu, because the way my schedule is, I may not be able to get on a schedule yet. But for right now, I'm going to start doing lives, because I love live. I love people ask questions and everything. But so I appreciate you guys. And please, if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. And I saw that I got an email while I'm talking to you guys. Somebody joined my Patreon. I appreciate you for joining Patreon. And definitely the donations that people have made. Y'all don't know. I got a little feeling inside when y'all did the donations and everything. Feeling all special inside. But, sorry, to get to know me, to know that I'm gonna have fun no matter what. But so y'all have a great day. Remember, you gotta free yourself. Yeah, hit the bell. Hit the bell so you get notifications. That's right. If you hit the bell, then you get notifications of when I'm doing lives. That's right. So I see y'all till later on tonight at Kev's channel. Kev ain't called me. He ain't told me nothing about what we talking about. And he does that to me all the time. So if he even listen to this, yeah, stop. But I don't know what we're talking about, but most of the time it doesn't matter. I'm pretty good at catching up or anything. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. And I see some of you guys tonight on Kev's channel.